I have in the studio Miracles Aboagye. It's always a pleasure to have you here on Newsdesk. Oh, I'm glad you're here. So let's get into the issues. We'll get your brief reaction on the calls for the lands minister to go. The NPP already has a stance when it comes to illegal mining. Do you think those calls are valid at this point?
I really doubt those who try to scapegoat in situations like this actually mean well for the country, and then you begin to ask yourself whether genuinely it is the issue they want addressed or they just want to do politics. These are people who say lands minister should go, but tell us to go and vote for former President Mahama and come with his ministers. This is a group of people who were in power and could not manage this situation. You recall, when Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo came to office and was being sworn in his statement, he had Galamsey as a major issue, which he promised to deal with. You recall? What it means is that anybody that creates an impression as if Galamsey was a creation of Nana Akufo-Addo in the last 8 years is just trying to do politics. I'm bringing all of this in to simply say that this is a social canker. You don't fight social canker scapegoating. If you scapegoat in the fight against social canker, you don't get results. Because what happens is that you allow the actual perpetrators to hide. Because you're not even pointing at them. You're not talking about them. You're not addressing them. You rather identify one or two people and you keep hammering as if today Abu Jinapo is removed from the lands ministry, there will be no Galamsey. This is a canker where the former environment minister, Honorable Ayariga, under the NDC, actually said on record, and it's reported on your portal, that he thinks we should give up on the fight against Galamsey. In fact, he recommended that we should legalize illegal mining. I mean, you see the contradiction. Legalize illegal mining. Where he said that it has become so difficult fighting this canker under the Atena because chiefs are involved. According to him, chiefs are involved. Religious leaders are involved. Opinion leaders, assembly members, and everybody, is involved. And so if you just get up and say, oh, there's Galamsey, fire the lands minister. Before the lands minister, was there Galamsey? Was there Galamsey before this lands minister? And so if you fire the lands minister tomorrow, does it end Galamsey?
So you feel that calls to relieve him of duty is not important?
No, the point is that before I say that, let's relieve you of your role as a host on this program, you might have been culpable of something. I might have seen that you are either incompetent in fixing it, or you are doing what you are doing, or you haven't done what it is that you are supposed to do. But so I haven't heard anybody say any such thing about the lands minister. And my problem is that you don't find social canker by scapegoating and politicizing. If you try to fight social canker by scapegoating and politicizing, you leave the real culprits. They'll be doing their thing whilst you fight amongst yourselves. I am one person that has refrained from allowing myself to be drawn into this Galamsey conversation on partisan lines. Whose purpose does it serve? Who wins in this? This Galamsey menace, right from 2011, that's when it reared its head, under the former president as vice president and former President Mills. Before, whilst Wallace was in office, we had Galamsey. Galamsey is an 80s, 60s, 70s ancient pre-colonial activity. But they were not mining in river bodies. The actual river body Galamsey that we are seeing today reared its head in 2010, 2011. For the entire period that these people that are advocating for somebody to be scapegoated were in power, they couldn't fight it. They gave up. They lifted their hands in despair. We are people who have come to inherit this canker from them. And that should be put on record. And so it is we rather who are trying to fight a canker introduced by them. And so what should be done right now is to say that what is government's effort so far in the fight against this social canker? Why hasn't it worked? government, we think that you should tweak this side, you should tweak this side, you should tweak this side. But I don't know why Galamsey fight is becoming very difficult. All of a sudden, we've allowed some of these people who claim to be neutrals to put this Galamsey conversation into the partisan political contest. So what happens is that everybody in Ghana today thinks that Galamsey is there because MPP officials are doing Galamsey. Was it NDC officials who were doing Galamsey in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2014, when the minister gave out, when cocoa farms were being cut down? Didn't the former president, please hold on, didn't the former president set up a task force to deal with Galamsey? Why didn't it work? So you're saying that we should vote against it and go for who? The one who introduced it. And that is my worry. You have somebody...
So you don't want us to politicize issues?
No.
Fair point.
You have somebody digging under his bed.
We're dealing with an emergency here, because the Ghana Water Company has served notice that Ghana, we may be forced to import water in the nearest future because of the dire impact of illegal mining. Now, we are quite interested in this administration because we know that at the start of this administration, the president assured us that he would deal with this. This is the key reason why Operation Vanguard was created. And so at this point where our water bodies are polluted and people are struggling to even find potable water, even though they live very close to the river bodies, the concern is about action.
That is the point.
Exactly.
So the evidence
so we want
is that,
to see
so the evidence
some
is
sort
that,
of action.
What is the action? What action is left
what
other
action
than
is the
what
NDC
action
going
is
to
left
do at
other
this
than
point?
the government sending military men and police to go and burn excavators and to get these people out of our river bodies? What action is left other than the government setting up community mining schemes and draw these young people to do safe mining? What action is left beyond the government providing the river body guards to help patrol these places? And this is a social canker. What it means is that it is a crime. And people would always find ways and means to commit a crime. That is why even though we have police, we still have people committing robbery this morning and this afternoon. But there is police. The fact that government and state have police and all security agencies doesn't mean that people have stopped committing a crime. But you see, when you are fighting a social canker, it's a different ballgame. When you have somebody digging under his bed, his own bed, so he can mine, you can see the psyche of these people and how much they want to get involved in this. That is why it is important for us to call out those who are making it difficult for us to fight the social canker. Why haven't you or anybody on the multimedia platform ever played this NDC video?
So why don't you call out the names?
No, but for example, the video is out there. The man who is spearheading the NDC agenda when it comes to mining, Dr. Tony Obin, and the NDC national officers are on video, not once, not twice, not just 3 locations, but multiple locations, videos of which are on social media. And think about this. Whilst government is beating people, arresting people, burning excavators, the other important aspect of this fight against Galamsey is the social reorientation, where people would need to have a reorientation of their minds to understand the danger that this Galamsey thing poses to us as our survival. Then you have the biggest opposition party who is fighting to come to power in the Galamsey side, standing with them and telling them that, you know what, Galamsey preceded politics. Vote against these people and vote for us. When we come to office, do you see this man? His name is Tony Obin. He is the one who is going to be made the CEO of Minerals Commission. The very day NDC wins power, we are going to let all of you come and mine. This is the real threat. This is the real emergency. There is not a single enabler that is bigger than this issue. Because you see, what is happening is that you go and embolden the guys. So government cannot be in everybody's home at the same time. So you send Operation Vanguard, they go and burn excavators and leave. And these people go and they are emboldened. Today, when you go to the mining areas, they will tell you that, you know what, let me go and mine. I'll make money. If they arrest me within 3 months, NDC will come, they will come and remove me.
And we'll hold a calls for a state of emergency
to
be declared.
For what?
Do you feel it's necessary?
No, I'm just asking for what?
You feel
Do you
it's
remember
not necessary?
in 2018 or 2019, there was a ban on small-scale mining?
Yeah.
Did they end Galamsey? I keep telling you, we've allowed these guys to mislead all of us on a path that will never get Galamsey solved. Galamsey is a social canker. These people live in this area. This is all they know their entire lives. Now, think about it. And that is where I'm coming into Dr. Mahmoud Bamiye's proposal for dealing with Galamsey. The person has grown up in this area from the age of 6. He sees all these things happening. He doesn't know where the gold actually is, but he knows that the land he lives on has gold. And so he wakes up in the morning, he starts scavenging and just hope that he finds something. And because it's very difficult to scavenge on the rocks and on earth he goes to the river bodies, where it is easy. Over there, as he digs, he's washing, and he gets what he wants. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is saying that if we don't rechannel the energies of these young people into safe and appropriate mining, this fight we are talking about is a dead fight. And I agree with him. I absolutely agree with him. So he says he is going to provide the geo data that shows where these minerals can be found. Now, if you're a Ghanaian and you identify a concession, of course, based on the geo data that government has provided you, and you are interested in mining, currently, the Ghanaian will travel to the US or to China and go and look for a partner because we don't have the money to be able to mine safely. He's going to set up the Minerals Development Bank. That will provide the financial muscle needed for the Ghanaian concessionaire to mine so that these concessions will be wholly Ghanaian owned. Then all these young people who are in these rivers will now have a local man that has a concession that has been given the muscle by government to be able to mine, the financial muscle by government to be able to mine safely. And then they will all work for this person to do safe and appropriate mining. Do you know how many small-scale mining firms are in Ghana doing safe and appropriate mining? Are you aware that about 40% of our gold that we have, gold production every year, is from small-scale mining? And let me shock you. These small-scale miners are not doing illegal mining. They are not doing galamsey. We should stop putting all of these things together. Galamsey, as we are defining it today, and we are discussing today, are the people, one, who don't have the licenses to mine, and two, who are mining in our river bodies, in our reserve, forest reserves, where they are not supposed to mine. So if you have been able to mobilize resources, you have a concession in Seshi somewhere, you have all the regulations, you have employed, there is a small-scale mining firm employing close to about 5,000 young people in the western region. You are saying that we should ban them for what's wrong? What crime has he committed? Because there is armed robbery, everybody should be left at home, everybody should be kept at home. Is that a sensible way to solve a social canker? That there is a lot of armed robbery, or there's a lot of phone snatching around Circle. So government should ban everybody coming to Circle. That is an emotive, an emotional way of trying to solve a problem. And that is why I keep telling you that these people who come on TV and radio and talk about ban, they are doing politics. Because you see, the NDC are the ones leading all these things with all their surrogates. Then when they come on radio and say government is not fighting it, do this, then they'll go to the pit. And I've sent the video to ECHO, and I'm begging ECHO to play this video, to hear these NDC operatives telling these galamseyers that forget MPP. You say they are sacking you, and they are burning your excavators. And then let me tell you one thing. If you have the opponents going into the pits to go and say these things, don't you realize that they have this armed government effort in fighting this canker? Because anytime government goes in and leaves, the people will come back because they have a backing. Don't forget, the flag bearer of the opposition party, these people who are in the pit encouraging the galamseyers, has already told the galamseyers that when I become president, I will free all of you who have committed a crime and have been imprisoned. Why do we think we don't have to talk about this? All of you, producers, media people, why are you not talking about this? Why are you making it look like the solution?
I'm just getting information right now from my producer that video you just shared was as far back as 2020. Does that change your position? No,
that is why it should be played. That should tell you why we are still here, in spite of all the things you mentioned. That is why it should be played, and I want it played. They shouldn't cover it up. Let the viewers see it. That the reason why Operation Vanguard will fail, the reason why Operation Halt will fail, the reason why we've burnt a lot of excavators, beat people, this government has jailed, prosecuted and jailed the most.
And we'll bring you that video for our viewers watching. Very eager on social media to watch it.
Why on social media?
We'll bring it. We'll bring it shortly. We'll play it. So I'm just getting information from my producer that will play you that video shortly. But let's come back to the substantive issue.
It tells you why the fight will delay. Because these people are emboldened and are enabled by, you know how strong an opposition party is.
But you're just making the point right now that to a large extent the people we're hearing raise noise about the impact of illegal mining are politically motivated. But how about labor unions, TUC, demanding that government act, else they'll withdraw their services nationwide? How about the Christian Council?
You see, you're not hearing them. You know why? It is because we've allowed the politics to cover them. These are genuine voices. The labor, these are people who are genuinely raising concerns. But when they raise the concerns, and we allow all these surrogates to come in, we don't ever get to the crux of the matter. Who has ever thought that or ever brought the discussion to the fore that galamsey should be treated as a social canker. I can give you 1,000 reasons why galamsey is like any form of addiction that you can think of. And the next question is, how do we fight addiction? When you go and arrest a cocaine addicted victim, does it necessarily get him to stop? If you leave him the next day, don't you think he will go there? But when you arrest him, you take him for rehabilitation, so that by the time you bring him back, he is fully rehabilitated. But here we are not discussing it. We are making it look like today, if you remove Nana Akufo-Addo, galamsey ends. Meanwhile, before Nana Akufo-Addo, that was when galamsey started. And who are you removing Nana Akufo-Addo for? The same people who started galamsey. The people who are in the pit and enabling the galamseyers. And so I am bringing this up and say that enough, media. Enough of bringing all these surrogates to come and discuss galamsey. Let's really elevate this galamsey conversation.
And that's what we've been doing here.
That's what you're doing. When you call Oliver,
when you call Oliver, spoke to Oliver because they are about to hit the street.
Oliver is always looking for one reason to hit the street.
Demonstration, and that is something that's happening.
Oliver is always looking for one. Ask him. He's always looking for one reason or the other to hit the street. So wait.